And today, the newest and most astonishing attraction at Disneyland is called, and I hope my tongue doesn't trip over it, audio animatronics.
Yes, audio animatronic figures. It's a sort of another door that's opened for us. You see, our whole 40-some-odd years here has been in the world of making things move, inanimate things move. From a drawing through all kinds of any little props and things. Now we're making these human figures, dimensional human figures move, make animals move, make anything move through the use of electronics. It's a tape mechanism that the tape, it's like a programming or sequencing when they do a missile, when they're sending some missile to the moon, say. Yeah. At different stages, at different times, things must happen. That's all programmed, predetermined. So our show is put on that tape, and it's programmed from this tape. And we run it off a little 1-inch tape that has 14 tracks, and on each track, we can get up to 16 signals. Now, those little signals go and impulse this figure and make the figure move, make the figure talk, and everything. Well, look, I could show it to you a lot better than I can tell you about it. Will you come over here, and I'll give you a little preview.
I should say.
In October of 2014, we put the old 90s outfits back on, and then we took a little bit of a hiatus, and then in April, May, June of 2015, Dan and I put the rest of the stuff on them, and we painted the whole stage area, and we brought the 90s back.
Did they name Rocky Top after you?
Shoot, no. When I was born, my mama took one look at my bald head and said, he looks just like Rocky Top. Of course, I'm improved with age.
Like a pint of cheese.
Cheese? Did someone say cheese?
No, Bubba, we're going to sing.
Just take me home down country road.
Good going there, Rocky. Gee, thanks, Bubba.
On July 2nd of 2019, I found a CD in the box, and I didn't realize that the show was even longer, because when I was a little kid, this was around 1996, 1997, so I was about 3 or 4 years old, I remember going to see them, but I don't remember every single little detail, but I remember the songs, because the songs have never changed. And my dad would always tell me when we would go up there, on our way there, he would always say, you want to go see the Man and Dog? You want to go see Rocky and Bubba? And I realized, Bubba never says his name. Nobody ever calls him that. And my dad says, oh, yeah, they did. They used to say, I'm Rocky, I'm Bubba. And they would say that. And when I found that CD and I heard the whole show, I realized that they did. They did say that. And I think the reason why some of that dialogue was taken out was because on that CD, which was the full show, Rocky Top, You're Cheating Hard, and Cotton Eye Joe are all locked in on one track. So if you were to put a quarter in, because it was a quarter in those days, or $1, you would get the first 3 songs as one show. And there was dialogue in between. So the drum roll would start at the beginning of Rocky Top, and the drum beat would end at the end of Cotton Eye Joe. And in between the songs, you'd have dialogue. So, and Country Roads and Get Along Without You Now was another show. That was the second show. And the third show was Thank God I'm a Country Boy in Mockingbird Hill. But I think management wanted 1 quarter for 1 song. So when Sally Corp re-edited the show, some of the dialogue got taken out. I don't think it was their intention to take the dialogue out. They were just trying to edit the show. Like, let's get the songs separated as 1 track. So instead of the whole show being 3 tracks, the first 3 songs here, the next 2 songs here, and the last 2 songs here, let's get it from 3 tracks to 7 tracks, which would mean 7 quarters, 7 songs. Or now $7 for 7 songs. But I didn't know about this. I didn't know about this old show. And the thing is, that CD's been sitting in the box behind Bubba since the beginning. It's been sitting there forever. And I didn't know that until this one day when we were working on the vlogs. I found that CD and I made a vlog about it. And I wanted to get this back in the show so badly, but I didn't know how. Man, this stage looks terrible. And by the way, you can also see some of the blue on the stage. You see that? Yeah, see, it's gotta get painted. This has to get painted. It's been 5 years. Time to paint it again. We're gonna clean the stage. First of all, we're gonna clean it. We're gonna mop it, sweep mop, and then paint. I tried a little dab of paint right there. That paint's actually new, and it kind of looks like the same brown. It looks a little different, probably because this hasn't been painted in 5 years. But when it is painted, it'll look really good. And also, these are going to get painted too, because I don't know if you guys can tell. It's really hard to tell because the lights are off. But look, now you see this. Remember when this was all blue and this was white? You can see the white now. You see it's starting to chip because this comes from some of the kids that come up here, they kick this fence, they beat it, and sometimes the paint gets chipped. So this has got to get fixed up and painted. We're going to do that. I took the $1 sign off. We're going to get a new one, or Ian's going to do something with that. Ian's probably going to make a new one because we know their names now. So we're going to, instead of the man and dog, we're going to write Antonio and Hank on it. We're going to leave the box that sits right here, shipped to the man and dog. We're going to leave that alone. That's going to stay. I spoke to one of the managers, John, because he, in fact, is one of the last guys left that works at Wonderland that was there that went to go pick them up in the truck in the early 90s. And he said, we went to pick them up from this guy named Al Belmont. But this answers a lot of questions because I was asking Al about them. I didn't ask Al how he got them. I wish I had asked him that question. But this explains why they sit where they sit in the pier. Because when Al had them in the early 90s, like 1990, 91, 92, Mr. Gillian came over and saw them, and Al had them, the 5 of them, sitting in front of a train. And a train was going by, in his station where he had them, a train went in front of them, not behind them. And Al told me on the phone, he said Roy was very impressed with that, he liked it, and I said, okay, maybe that's why we got them, because Roy Gillian was probably thinking, well, we have a train at our pier, let's put them up there. So that, I think, explains why they sit up at the monorail. I think that's why they got that little area for them, which would make sense. So that's where we got them from. I didn't confirm this with Al, but I think he got them from a Zach Periwinkle's show, which is basically that was a restaurant that was essentially like Chuck E. Cheese or a Showbiz pizza place, because one of the animatronic characters that Zach Periwinkle's had was a panda bear, and I'm looking at some pictures that have been on the internet. It's Rocky. I mean, it's Rocky. It's definitely Rocky. So I don't know. I mean, because, it's funny. Like, I asked John, one of the managers, I asked him, I said, when we got them in 93, did they look like that? Like, did they have those railroad hats on and that stuff on? And he's looking at him, he's like, I don't know. And I said, well, did you guys put the new cosmetics on Hank, make him look like a Dalmatian? Because that's obviously a retrofitted Jasper. And he goes, I don't know. It was a long time ago. It was almost 30 years ago. I don't really remember. I just remember picking him up in the truck, hooking him up, and that's it. He doesn't remember a whole lot of stuff that went on with it. Okay, everybody, so today we're going to be putting some cosmetics back on the man and dog today, and some of this stuff they haven't had in a long time. So, Ian, you want to tell everyone what you're doing today?
Hey, everyone. All right, so I made this tongue for Henrietta because she used to have a tongue back in the 90s until
1998, I think.
1998.
Yeah.
Yeah, until they got fixed until 2000. But anyway, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the tongue right on her.
Okay. Henrietta, and again, this is from the Helen Henny animatronic, and in fact, you can see this in some of the Pizza Time Theater videos on YouTube. She used to have a tongue. And I know this because I remember staring at it when I was a kid in like 96, 97, 98. But I don't have any pictures or video of it. I think they took the tongue out in like 98, 99, which is why it's not in the man and dog footage from 99, or in any of my pictures. But I remember staring at it, and I looked at the Helen Henny animatronic, and I'm like, I think we're gonna bring the tongue back. And not only that, we're gonna fix Rocky's tongue. We're gonna get Antonio's tongue back in. We're gonna get Hank's tongue back in. We're gonna get the pipe back in because the tongues look terrible. Everything was deteriorating. It didn't look good. I was thinking maybe we could put some material over Rocky's tongue because I don't know what this is. I mean, this looks like someone painted this because this looks all, you know.
It's more like foam.
Yeah, it looks like it's foam, but I'm not. It looks like it was just painted.
Foam with
You know what I mean?
fabric paint covered in it.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Like maybe we could put some material over it so that it'll bring it out, you know? Like maybe, I don't know. And I'm thinking about doing this with Rocky's eyes. I'm thinking of, first of all, going over these and figuring out what's going on with the eye scratching. I said, John, there are 3 things I want to do for this summer. 1, we got to get Bubba fixed. 2, how do we properly maintain maintenance on them in the wintertime to prevent, you know, further damage, because Bubba's got a lot of damage. And 3, I told him about the CD. So we got Hank's pipe fixed. Here it is. My dad fixed it. It's still the same pipe. This now is made of metal, so this is really thick. So I doubt this will break off. This is super glued. It's been repainted. Okay, so Ian was having a little bit of difficulty getting the nostrils on Bubba's nose because all their heads are down because we can't turn the air pressure on right now because the air pressure is also hooked up to one of our rides and the maintenance men are in the middle of working on that ride, so we can't turn on the air pressure today. So with Bubba's head being down, it's kind of difficult for Ian to work, so we had to get Bubba's head up without using the air pressure, so this is what we came up with. We had to take the chain that I hooked over there in the corner. Where is it? Yeah, I have a little chain that gets hooked in that corner over there, right there. We just unzip tied it and tied it around just to hold his head up.
I'm working on putting the pink stuff on the ears, and I'm trying to like make a little lump right here, just like how they did in how he looked like in the 90s. So.
All right. Nice. This is what the back of Bubba's head looks like when it's off. Yep. When I approached John and asked him about all this, his first response was, well, if you want to get the old show back in, get a spare 1 gigabyte memory card and use that to edit the stuff on and keep what we have up there. So that way, if this whole editing thing doesn't work out, we still have a show to play. When I took the memory card and edited my stuff, because again, I had the CD. The hard part was trying to get these tracks from 3 tracks to 7 tracks. Now, everything that you see in the animated video, that's what I wanted the show to look like. Because that's not what the original show is. The original show is different because not every song ends with the drum beat, not every song starts with a banjo riff, not every song, you know what I mean? Because Sally Corp had to edit the show in '98 to get it into 7 tracks. Now, I wanted to leave it that way, exactly the way it is, but just get the deleted stuff put back in where you would hear it at this point in the show, like the original show. So, basically, what we wanted to do was edit the edited version and the original version as one big new edited show. Is basically what we were doing. So the first time I put the card in, it didn't work. We have a little reset button inside the box, you know, because so when you're working on the show or an air function, you can keep pushing the reset button, you know, because we're not going to keep feeding dollars to it. Now forget that. We're going to push the reset button in the box. So I hit reset, nothing happened. Everybody was frozen, and I'm like, oh man. I didn't even hear the audio. I thought I would hear the audio coming out of it. It didn't work. And I went to John and I told him it didn't work. And he looks at me and he goes, were they WAV files or were they MP3s? I said they were MP3s. He goes, no, you got to put them in WAV files. And I go, well, could I just highlight the thing, backspace MP3, and write WAV and convert it that way? He goes, nope, that won't work. You have to, you're going to have to go on Google or YouTube and find out how to convert an MP3 into a WAV, because it's got to be a WAV file. So I said, okay. So all 7 songs had to be WAV files. So I did that, and editing the show was interesting because, and this is the great thing about Sally Corp, because of the way we had it. We were actually very fortunate. We didn't have to hook up the characters to a computer or anything like that. We didn't have to reanimate the mouths or add new movements to it. The movements were already there. Because I spoke to John about this when we were talking about getting this back in, and he goes, you're going to have to hook the characters up to a computer. That's how you're going to have to reprogram it. And I told him, I said, John, I don't think so, because I look at them in the edited version, and they open their mouths and then they close them because they're supposed to say something right there at this point in the show, but it's edited out. And the system takes a microsecond or 2 to read that, and that's why they stop. And I told him this, and he goes, really? You think the movements are still in there? I said, if we can get it back in there, I think it would work, because they're programmed to this. And he goes, okay, give it a shot. But the great thing about the way this was edited on the CD is because, and you can hear this when you hear the tracks on the YouTube videos, you'll hear a loud ringing going on in one ear. Like if you have headphones on, you'll hear it in one ear, and on the other ear, you'll hear the audio. Well, that's because that ringing is actually the program. So on the CD, the program and the audio is locked in together. They're synchronized together. So basically, we just have to edit the audio together and finalize them as 7 different tracks and put it back in, and there you go. Again, it took a couple of days to edit everything because I wanted to make sure it was perfect. And then the second time I tried editing it, I noticed there was something missing because I hit reset and nothing happened. Everybody's still frozen. I don't even hear the audio. So I take it out. I put it in the computer because I got my computer right there in front of them. It's sitting on the barrel, and I noticed there are 7 tracks, but there was an 8th thing in there too, on the edited one, the one they're using, because I'm trying to compare memory cards to see what I'm missing, to see what's working here and what's not working over here. And I noticed there was a little text edit symbol, which is the code. There's coding involved because it's a program. So I'm comparing and contrasting that, and I realized my card didn't have that. So I just copied it from the memory card that had the edited show and put that on my memory card with the new show, the one we want to play, and I tried it then. Still nothing happened. I'm like, come on. So now I'm reading the code, and I'm like, okay, first track 1, last track 7, that's what it says. Volume 100%, yeah, that's the same thing. So I'm thinking, why isn't it working? Why isn't it working? And then I realized what it was. Because I want the songs to still play in their order. Rocky Top comes first, then You're Cheating Hard, Cotton Eye Joe. I wanted them to still play in that order. And that was the order that they were played in the original 1997 show. From 93 to 97, 98. It was always been that way. So I labeled them 0-1, Rocky Top. 0-2, You're Cheating Hard. 0-3. But I noticed on the card that we've been using for the edited show, they weren't labeled by the song titles. They were labeled Sound 001. That was Rocky Top. Sound 002. That's You're Cheating Hard. So I said, okay, let me rename these. Sound 001, Sound 002. I checked everything. I put the card in. I pressed reset. And it worked.
Yippee-yay! Welcome to Wonderland. Here, that is. Sure hope everyone's having a great time.
This is going to be a request show.
Dog, I request a ride on the log flume.
Not that kind of request, Hank. Song request.
I have on the radio?
Right, Bubba. We've done received so many requests.
That we decided to oblige with this special show.
You sure even us guys more than we know.
And our first number is to Big Mama Tadpole. Here we go.
And I couldn't believe it.
Hey, what'd you do, Henrietta?
Well, Rocky, I'll tell you just what I told him.
There were some pieces of dialogue that I actually edited out, that I didn't put in the animation video, because I thought, much like Sally Corp thought, there's no reason for this audio, why put it in there, it doesn't make any sense, but Ian found a way around it. So the only thing that's edited out of the show is one word, and that is, in between Rocky Top and You're Cheating Heart, Rocky has a line there, and he says, folks, these next 3 numbers are dedicated to blah, blah, blah. And I thought, that line doesn't make any sense, because originally Rocky Top, You're Cheating Hard, and Cotton Eye Joe were 3 songs locked in together on one track. Well, now they're separated, just like they've been since 98, but that line doesn't make any sense. Why would he say these next 3 numbers are dedicated? It doesn't make any sense. Why would you have that in there? And Ian said, well, why not? Well, instead of taking the whole sentence out, leave it in, but take the number 3 out. And have him say, folks, these next numbers are dedicated to. And I thought, okay, but when you edit that, can you make that sound fluent? And he goes, yes. So I said, okay. So he went, he did it.
No, Bubba, we're gonna sing. Folks, these next 3 numbers are dedicated to Giant Wheel Rider, Merry-Go-Round Mary,
And the hot dog of Harry.
folks, Miss Henrietta Hatpin. No, Bubba, we're gonna sing. Folks, these next numbers are dedicated to Giant Wheel Rider, Merry-Go-Round.
And once we had that figured out, we played Mockingbird. We couldn't believe what we were seeing.
Hey there, everyone. How you doing? Boys and ladies, say howdy to the folks. Howdy to the folks. I'm Rocky, and I'd sure like to outbeat these musical marvels. Bubba Bunga. Henry Howells. She's called me Hank, folks. Our Southern Belle, Henrietta Hatpin.
It sure is lovely to see y'all, boy.
And W. Jim. One to 'em.
At that moment, I started to realize, can we try to get Bubba fixed? So here's what's going on with Bubba. This is the problem. I spoke to our guy. We stood right here for like 30 minutes, just checking everything out. The air hoses are fine. The ribbon cable is fine. It's the electric. It was an electric issue. This drive unit right here, this board right here, this whole thing,
This is corroded, okay? The only thing that works, and by the way, this whole thing right here, this black box, this has nothing to do with the programming. This tells this what to do. Now these are the air hoses. This is what makes everything work. You see that little these blue buttons right here? Each one of these buttons is a function. So the first blue button right here, that's the mouth. You push that button, but you need like a little pin, like a little tiny pin to push it. You can't do it with your finger. It depends on how big your fingers are. My fingers are too big, so you need a pin for this to push it. But it won't work right now because the air pressure's turned off. But if you push this blue button, the mouth will open up. Now nothing's happening right now because again, the air pressure's turned off. If it was on, you would see this happen. So the first button is the mouth, torso, head, eyes, eyelids, hands. Now these wires right here are supposed to go into each function, and this tells this what to do during the program. But this is corroded, which is why some of these are working, not all of them. These are the eyelids. The eyelids are the only thing that's really working, right? And the hands. Now, like I said, this hand is busted, so this one hasn't been working because of this. This cylinder has to get replaced. This hand is working, but this has to get, but like I said, this has to get replaced. So, if I take this wire here, like I unplug it, this is the hand movement, and if I plug it into the mouth will work, but it won't synchronize to the system. It'll just be doing this the whole time, you know, while Rocky Top is going, and then it'll stop and then it'll go again. It'll just do that. It won't be talking like he should. So, because this whole thing is corroded. Now take a look at this. You see all that? None of that should be there. You see all that green? That should not be there, guys. But because Bubba never had a back, there was nothing to protect it. Now Henrietta's got the same thing. She's got the same thing. So I asked our guy, I said, well, should we get a new one for her? Because what if she stops working? He goes, no, I don't think so, because you got that system insulated. You have insulation surrounding it. See how we got the fur wrapped around it? Here we had nothing. Like this we just added on last year, this, in the vlogs, and this was after we were having problems. Now we got to find something to like cover this up to protect it, because the salt air is just going to keep eating away at it. And what we really should be doing is in the fall, taking these off for all of them, putting them in a box and putting them somewhere so that way they don't get wrecked in the winter time. In the fall and winter, and even in the springtime, we're going to take these off so that we can protect them. So this is not the program. I thought this was. This just tells this what to do. So this has to get replaced. So that's why he's been having problems. That's why some of the functions work, not all of them. It's because of the corrosion. Now you can see some corrosion over here. You see that? You see that brown on that? That doesn't mean anything. That's okay. We gotta, like I said, we gotta preserve this stuff. But this has to get replaced, this whole black box. So we get that replaced, and we're gonna have a couple spare ones just in case, and we hook it in, and there you go, it'll work. Now I'll show you guys these air hoses right here. You notice there's 2 air hoses for each function. Because for those who don't know, now Pizza Time Theater, you know, animatronic fans and even Rocket Fire Explosion fans, you guys know that this is all done by compressed air, which means the air goes through one tube and then releases it. You know, it gets sucks in one tube and releases it out of another. That's what makes the functions work. Like for example, Bubba's mouth will be closed, right, when the air pressure's on. So if you want his mouth to move, it'll go. That means the air's going into the cylinder, and then when it gets released, it'll go like that. And it tells you, you know, that's what that is. So that's why you got 2 hoses for each function. The air goes through one, it comes out the other. And that's how this works. Now, for example, I don't know if you guys know this. Back in 2015, 2016, there's even some YouTube videos. The back of Rocky's head is off. We're working on his eyes. It's over there. Rocky's eyes would stay open when they would stop singing. Now, his eyes are supposed to be closed. Well, that's because in the eyelid function, the air hoses were switched. So we just switched the air hoses for his eyelid function in here. We took this one out of the front, and took the one out of the back and switched it. And that made his eyes come down when they were done singing. It just reversed the function. So that's what we did. And that's what we did for Bubba. Like you notice, he's facing to the right now. Well, he can face anyway right now because, again, the air pressure's turned off. But when we turn it on, he's going to move over here because we have the torso facing this way. Because in the 90s, he used to always face this way, not that way. So we want him facing this way now. And for Rocky, Henrietta, and Hank, we got their heads down when you know, when they're done singing. Because they used to have their heads down instead of their heads up. We took the head functions, we switched the air hoses, so now all their heads are down when they're going to start. We just reversed the functions. So, yeah, that's where we are. Ian, how's Bubba's ears coming?
Well,
you got one finished, right? Oh, dude, that looks so good.
Yeah.
It's getting there. Okay, everyone, this is going to be a little creepy, but yeah. I took Rocky's mask off. Now here, I took the back of Bubba's head off. Now the thing is, the back of the heads usually come off because they have Velcro attached. So this way you can get inside the head and check with all the wiring and everything. Like this right here, this controls the eyelids opening and closing. See how they're closed here? That would mean that they'd be open over here. So that's what that is. But I want to know what's wrong with Rocky's eyes. Why I can't get his eyes to, you know, I'm trying to make sure that they don't get scratched. This explains why his eyelids keep getting scratched. Take a look at this. This thing right here, this little hole, this would keep scratching down on the wood inside his mask, which explains why this paint job keeps getting scuffed up. And also, the wood was on so tight, that's why his eyelids were only closing halfway. So I'm going to make sure when I put his mask back on, both front and back, over there, his eyelids, instead of coming down to here, they'll be able to go down to there, which will be great. So that's what I'm going to do. But this is the first time I've ever seen this. So, yeah, so this is Rocky. But when we put his mask back on, you'll see his eyes right through there. So that's what I'm working on right here. So we're trying to figure that out. And I know exactly why his eyes kept scratching. It was because, see, inside his mask right here, this part right here is made of wood. This is what holds the mask up because we screw these screws into the wood, and that's what holds this side of the mask up. And the back side is Velcro. Velcro's right on, and it stays on, and his ears are attached to the back of the Velcro as well. So that's why it does that. But these screws were tied on so tight that there was not enough room for his eyes to open and close like they should, and his eyes to move back and forth like they should. So that's what was going on there. So I'm going to paint this tomorrow and then hook it back in, and yeah. So that's Rocky unmasked. Take a look at this. This is why Rocky's eyelids were scratching the whole time, folks. Take a look. Now you see this? This is where the scratching is on the eyelid. Right here. Look at this. See that little staple right there that's sticking out right above his eye? Where his eye should be? Yeah. Scratching on that. That's our little culprit right there. So we got to take this staple out, and then that should restore this problem. I'm going to start painting Rocky's eyes and his eyelids right now. And then I'm going to leave tonight, but I don't want to leave his mask hanging off because I can't take it completely off because of the mouth. The mouth is attached to it. So I found some of Henrietta's old necklace pearls, and we're going to tie that around the mask, and we're going to hold that up while his eyes are drying. So I'm going to get started on that right now. Okay, so Rocky's eyes are now painted. I got the whole thing, even in the back as well. This is all painted, the eyelids, everything. I went over the white, went over the green, and the black pupils So Rocky's eyes should be okay. All right, so Rocky's mask is fixed. His eyelids now open and close, very smooth now. You notice his eyelids are all the way down now, pretty much. We got that worked out. We got Bubba's ears fixed. Let's see here. Yeah, we worked that out. Ian got that done. And now, Ian, what are you working on today?
Right, so I'm about to cut out and make eyeshadows for Henrietta for the bottom of her eyes, just like she had before. So that's what I'm going to do right now.
Okay. So, yeah. That's pretty close, actually. Pretty close. What are we doing next? This is a big one.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make new tongues for each person, except for Henrietta because I already made her tongue.
Yeah, we already got her tongue back.
Yeah,
so
because,
what are we doing?
The color of the tongues. First of all, the material that the tongues are made of is, I believe, probably some kind of foam, and a color is like wearing out. So that's why I'm going to.
You got one of the tongues in your hand right here, actually,
yeah,
right?
so that's why I'm going to like cover them with.
It looks just worn out, you know. Yeah, and plus Bubba's kind of looks a little worn out as well. It's kind of hard to see, but it does look worn out. So we're gonna fix that. And Antonio, the man over here, he used to have one. You could tell from the old pictures that he used to have one, so he's gonna get one. Okay, this is the 1990s, and this is 2020. Okay, so Hank's tongue is in, and so is the pipe. It's secured in there. It's not going anywhere. So, yeah, that looks pretty good. And now on to Rocky. Rocky's tongue is looking good. It's getting there. Looks brand new, actually. Yeah, it's really good. Bubba's getting there, guys. He's getting there. We got Rocky's eyes working. Yep, no scratches. Ian's gonna test Cotton Eye Joe. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so we turned all the spotlights off, or I think are they down or off? They're down? Okay, we turned them down only because it's like 85 degrees outside, it's super hot, so we're gonna leave them off for a little bit. So we're gonna leave the LED rods on. So the spotlights are down, but the stage lights are still turned on, but we can still work because we have the other lights in the ceiling turned on. So that's what we're gonna use today. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, now he looks like his old self again. That looks really good, Ian. Yeah. Okay, so Bubba's hand, if y'all remember, he used to be holding one of Henrietta's feathers right here back in like 2007, 2008, back when the colorful paint job came in. Well, when we brought the 90s back in 2014, 2015, I took the feather out, and because it was safety pinned in, look at all that rust, because the pin was corroded, and that ruined the fur. So what we're gonna do is, or Ian's gonna do, we're gonna sew these two fingers together, but kind of spread them out a little bit, but basically we're just getting rid of the rust. We can't turn his hand around because there's green under here, probably from when it was being painted, the stage and stuff, you know, back when the green paint job was here. So this has to be the front, so we're just gonna sew the fingers together to get rid of that rust, so that way you don't see it. Alright, so here's his hand now. It's been sewn up. Yeah, that looks better. You can still see a little rust here, but it's not that bad. It does look better, though. Yeah. Well, that part under there is fine. That's okay, because that's just going to be in the front, so. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And, oh, I got to paint his pupil right here. I got to finish this black, because I screwed that up. But I'll do that another time. Wow, these safety pins are corroded, man. I fluffed his hand out, so. This is what we did 6 years ago. Now you get to see it. If I can just get the sleeve off. There we go. That can be fixed. Yeah, we can fix that. Oh, that's fine. Man, we gotta fix a lot. We're taking the clothes off because they gotta get. Look at this, guys. Look at this. You see inside how that looks pretty good? Look at that. We haven't taken this off of him since October of 2014 when Dan and I put this on. Okay? This is 6 years worth of dust. Washing machine. And just to answer you guys' question, this shirt I never took off. This is the original shirt that he had on. This was put on in 2007. Remember I said they had long sleeves in 2007 when they went through the other renovation? So this hasn't been on since 2000. Because in 2000 they had short sleeve shirts. I cut the long sleeves because I had to put the suit jacket had to fit, because this is all stuffing in here. So it's a lot. But that's what Antonio looks like with the jacket off, for those who want to see, because we didn't film this part last time. Those are the legs, and these legs come off right back here. It's a 2x4 right here. Yeah, we unscrew the nails here and here. This comes off, and then these come off. But these aren't gonna come off. Now you can see the shoes being held in by a nail. The nail is so rusted. That nail's been there for almost 30 years, guys. So this shoe came off. We're gonna reattach it. But that's what it looks like. That's what all their legs look like. But Antonio and Hank, we fixed Hank's pants here so that you can see the whole boot. But these pants are coming off because, again, they're dusty as can be. Look at that. Look at all that. So that's all coming off. Look at all that dust, folks. Look at that. Terrible. Put them in the washer. Here's what they look like with the pants off. Yeah, like I said, it's 2x4s with cotton wrapped around it and taped together. So yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna wash all the clothes here so that they don't look dusty anymore. That's the next step. I washed all the pants and they're pretty clean. These are Bubba's. Here are Rocky's pants. Here's Hank. And here's Antonio, the man. Here's his pants, and here's half of his blazer. The other half is over here. And right now Ian's working on Henrietta's hat. We're trying to fluff it out a little bit up top. As you notice, it was a little bigger back in the 90s, so he's doing that. Fluffed out the hands, huh?
Yep.
Nice. You also fluffed out Rocky's hand, right?
Yep, and Bubba's.
Yeah, that looks better. Bubba's hand's all fluffed out too?
Can't really get
Yeah, oh yeah, you could, oh, that's nice.
Can't really
we got to put his other hand on, but
Yeah.
that can wait.
Can't really get this hand off because it looks like it's like glued on there.
Oh, it's glued on? Well, it's fine. It looks okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Henrietta's next.
Oh, totally, yeah. Yeah, I could feel like the rusted, you know, just sitting there, all the rusty hands and fingers in there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, her hands are getting fixed next. And we also got something else back here. We ditched the safety pins, and now we got Velcro back here. So if we ever need to fix them, the middle part just opens right up, and we can get in there. What really surprised me over the course of the last couple of years, since we brought the 90s back, especially with that video, was the fan reaction. We have gotten so many families coming into Wonderland Pier, some of which have never even heard of Wonderland Pier. They came because they saw the video and they want to see it live. I mean, we have people asking us that have never even heard of Wonderland Pier that don't know where it is. We tell them it's in Ocean City. And then we get replies saying, is it Ocean City, New Jersey, or Maryland? Like, which one? And I can't tell you how many drawings I've gotten from kids, from families. People are interested in these characters. They love Pizza Time Theater. They love the Rock-afire Explosion. And they just love animatronics. And I agree, you know. Okay guys, so I'm going to give you a little tour of what's inside the box behind Bubba. You guys probably want to see what's in here, because not only did I find the CD in here a year ago, we found a couple of other things, and these are things you guys might enjoy. So I've already unlocked it. Alright, here we are. Now it's a little hard to see, but this is all of the stuff that we use to control the show. This is everything. Now, what we've got here is, Ian, can you we got Ian on the camera, so, okay, you guys can see me, right? Okay, so here's what we got. This is all the analog equipment. We don't use this anymore. Who uses analog stuff anymore, right? So all this stuff is unplugged. This is the volume knob right here. So if the volume is too low, I always turn up the knob a little bit, turn it up or down or whatever. This little thing right here, this is what we use to control the program. This is what the program runs on. In 2009, instead of using the CD, see, here's the CD drive. This pops out. See that? That's where the CD used to go. So I'll close that up. This is where the chip is, and I'll show you right here. It slides right out. This is the 1 gigabyte card that has the show. This is it. So I'll put that back in here. That's what runs everything. And this was the edited show. This is what we were listening to. But we have the full version that we want to play, and that's the one that's in here right now. So I was poking around in here. By the way, if you guys are wondering where I found the CD, up here in this box, all the way in the back corner. That's where it was. Now here's what's interesting. If you take a look at this gray box right here with this red siding, Pizza Time Theater fans, okay? This is what they had. Now take a look at this. Look what we found in here. This is a reel because in the late 70s and in the early 80s and throughout most of the 80s, I think, the shows were done on reel-to-reel tapes, okay? That was the only way you could really run the show. So I found this in here. So this is probably one of the reels that, I don't think we ever played the Man and Dog on this, but this is probably what they used when either Al Belmont had them or Zach Periwinkle's Pizza had them. I think this is probably a reel that they played on. So this has been sitting in here the whole time too. So, found that. And I also found this a couple of years ago. I haven't shown you guys this yet. I actually found this sitting in Antonio's box, but I keep it up here. Take a look at this. Does this look familiar? This was one of the bow ties that they used to wear, and you can still see some of the glue on it. I don't know whose bow tie this was. I'm not sure. It looks, this could have been Bubba's bow tie, I think, just because it's a lot bigger. I found it in Tony's box, but I'm not sure if this was his or not, but this was definitely one of the bow ties that they used to wear from 2000 to 2006, 2007, I think, right around that time. But this is one of the bow ties. And by the way, the reason we had them wear these bow ties, and I didn't know this was part of the uniform that our ride operators wore in the year 2000. The girls wore bow ties like this, and the guys wore ties, but it was this design. I guess when they were changing the uniform in the year 2000, they decided to put this on them. So that's why they wore the bow ties, but I'm going to keep this up here. So those are some of the things that we found. Now, if you take a look at this, now, you guys think that stuff is cool? Wait till you see this. Take a look over here. Now, I'm going to open up this side, if I can. Here we go. Ian, you can come around here. Okay, so this is where the show runs. This is everything right here. Now take a look at this. CEC Cable, Chuck E. Cheese, Jasper, Pasquale, Mr. Munt. You see what I'm talking about? Like, this is amazing. And not only that, take a look at this. The actual logo is still in here. Look at that. And that's the 1980s Pizza Time Theater. Unbelievable. So, and it's got everything. And by the way, we actually, Ian, could you focus on me, please? Here's something else that we found. When we were putting stuffing in their hands, there was a little tag on their hands. Now, this tag was so old that if you touched it, it fell apart. Date manufactured, May 18th, 1983. So I don't know if that was the time the hands were made or the whole character was made, but it makes sense because these guys were cyber animatronic Pizza Time Theater characters, which were made in the early 80s. So, yeah, that's pretty much. But you never know what you're going to find in here. But this is how the whole show is run. We have these cable. I think Pizza Time Theater fans will probably know better than I do. But the show is programmed through here, runs into these cables, runs into the show right over here. And this is each individual character. These get sent into all 5 characters with the ribbon cable, and it makes the show work. But if you guys ever check out Pizza Time Theater restoration videos, you'll notice this box is there with them, but it has like a tape deck, because this is supposed to be the tape deck. This is how you run the whole show. But, yeah, you never know what you're going to find around here. It's incredible. Here's something else that we found. Take a look at this. When we were painting the stage, I didn't see this the last time. When we were painting, we had to move all the cables out of the off the stage to paint it. Now, this black cable right here, this is hooked up to the dollar box, as is this. But what's this cable hooked up to? It's not. It has a cord, but it doesn't attach to anything. You know what this is? This is the cable that was hooked up to the show when we had the 25 cents box hooked up. And it's funny because take a look at that wire. You see how that's all, tied up? It's not hooked up to anything because we used to have a 25 cent box. But this cable was hooked up to the show when it was 25 cents. We never got rid of it. It's still here. Look at that. It's still here. That one right there, that little white cable, that's for the $1 box, but this was for the 25 cent box. Like, you never know what you're going to find around here. It's absolutely incredible.
In May of 2015, when Dan and I painted the stage, what we did was we still hung. We didn't unplug anything, but we hung all the cables with ropes like we did here, and we pushed what was movable up forward. We started in the back of the stage where the trains are. We pushed what we were able to move up front. We painted the back, and then once it dried, a day or two later, we pushed everything back, and then we painted the front. Because time is limited and we got so many other projects going on at Wonderland, we just said, forget it, we're painting the whole thing in one day. So, and plus this will be good because then that way we can get rid of all the blue that we missed.
Okay, so we're gonna start painting the stage soon, but we gotta move some things up. We have some ropes over here, right over by Tony, and we're going to use that to tie up all the air hoses and the cables, and we're going to hang them up there. We're going to hang the rope up there to hang it, to get these up off the floor so we can paint. But we're going to do something we've never done before. We're going to take all the cotton barrels, the speakers, and we're going to move them from the front of the stage to the back. We're not going to run the monorail because it'll be in the way of the track, so but it's just for 24 hours so that this stuff can dry. But we're going to do something we've never done before. We didn't do this the last time. We're going to take Hank, Rocky, and Bubba. Hey Ian, what's going on? We're going to take them and their boxes because they're bolted down to these, and we're going to put them right over here. That's what we're going to do. Henrietta we can't move because she's bolted into the ground. Antonio we can't move because his bass amplifier is inside the box. So the two of them are going to have to stay where they are. But we hemmed up Henrietta's dress so that way we can paint around her. We're not going to paint inside there because that's the original wood. We don't want to paint over that. But take a look at Hank. You see the blue? See that? Yeah, from when it was the colorful paint job. We didn't move it the last time. So they moved his barrel when they painted this in 2007. So we're going to move it so we can paint it in 2020. So that's what we're going to do. Now I've already unhooked their cables. You notice they don't have a cable in them. They have the air hoses in them, but not a cable. The cables are hanging over Henrietta. I just have to remember which one is which so that we don't get them confused like Tony and Bubba got confused once. Remember that? So we want to make sure. So as soon as Ian's done working on Rocky's torso, we're putting Velcro on their torsos so we can cover them up. Henrietta still needs a little work, but other than that, when Ian's done, he's going to help me move Hank, Rocky, and Bubba, and you're going to see that process, and then you're going to watch us paint. Careful where you are. I'm careful. Hold it, I'm letting go. Start turning. Are we good with the cables? Yeah. We're not yanking on any cables?
No, we're not.
Down.
It's a big responsibility.
All right. One down. Woo! You've never seen that before?
Yeah.
Alrighty. 2 down. Now we got Hank.
How are we going to get it over?
This is a sight you never thought you'd see before, huh, Ian?
No.
This is tough, man. This is tough work. We had to lift Rocky and Bubba off of the stage because they're bolted, and Hank lifting that barrel, man, that stunk. This is what they're all gonna look like when they're in my house. All scrunched up like this together in a room. Oh yeah. Here's something you never thought you guys never thought you'd see. Yeah. Yeah, we definitely cannot run the Frontier Express right now. Yeah. We're gonna have to wait on that. All right, folks, say goodbye to that blue. Ian, roll over it. Get rid of that. Yeah, there you go. Goodbye to that blue forever. Nice. We painted that stage, I think, at like 7 o'clock at night, and we didn't get done until like 9 o'clock. It took like 2 hours to do that because we had to move everybody off, paint it, and leave it that way. To dry overnight. And I remember telling the maintenance guys before they left at 6 o'clock, I said, you guys aren't going to test run the monorail tomorrow, right? And they said, no, why? And I had to tell them, I'm like, you guys can't run the monorail because we're going to have stuff sitting on the track. Like, you can't run it for like 24 hours. They said, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We're okay. We won't run it tomorrow. So I said, okay. Brand new. We're going to let it dry overnight. Until then, everybody's going to sit like this. So, yeah, and here's the original paint, or the original wood, I should say. That's never been painted. It was just in the front, but the back wasn't painted. I had my birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese one time, and I think this was either 98 or 99. It was one of those years. I think it was my 5th birthday or my 6th birthday, I forget. But, and I remember going in there, and again, I didn't ask my parents to take me to Chuck E. Cheese. I never heard of Chuck E. Cheese. I guess they planned all this. But we went there, and I remember sitting down and eating the pizza, and I'm looking at this curtain, and I'm like, what's the curtain for? And the curtain opened, and I'm seeing these animatronics standing there, and I looked at them, and I grabbed my dad, and I said, hey, Dad, that looks just like the man and dog. So I'm the opposite of everybody else. Everyone looks at the man and dog, they're like, hey, it's just like Chuck E. Cheese. I'm the opposite, because the man and dog was the first thing that I ever saw. Okay, so Ian is sewing on new fabric onto Rocky's eyes. We still have the original black fabric underneath there, but he's sewing the new fabric on, and he's gonna tighten it together so that it looks a little closer. We've got the picture right here for a reference. So, yep. And then after that, we're gonna work on Henrietta's beak, because this came in the mail today. This was recommended by one of the fans, and we're gonna do that next. So Henrietta's beak is coming up next, right after we got Rocky's eyes. He already is slowly starting to look like his 90s self. So it's getting there. There's another animatronic show in New York, I think, that has the exact same songs that we have. Different characters, obviously different retrofits, but the same exact tracks. It's the same song. And even some of the same dialogue. But the dialogue's been changed because their characters can't say "Welcome to Wonderland Pier." You know, that's not the name of their place. But I think our show was made first because the songs and the dialogue are so obviously done by the same voice actors. And I think when the Water Safari place in New York got hold of the show, they had to redub some of the dialogue. And it's obvious that the dialogue that they have is done by a different voice actor than the song. With us, it's the same voice actor with the dialogue and the song. So I think, but again, that's Sally Corp. Like they didn't steal the songs from us. No, they didn't. Like Sally Corp probably has a couple of other animatronic shows that have the same song. There's an animatronic show up in Pennsylvania, I think, that has Gonna Get Along Without You Now. Same thing. You know, the dialogue, there's no dialogue in it. The dialogue's obviously done by different voice actors, but it's Henrietta's voice. I mean, it's the same thing. So yeah, like nobody's stealing from anybody. It was Sally Corp. You know, they have different shows. They give them to, they hand them out to different customers and stuff, because it's all retrofitted Chuck E. Cheese entertainment. Today is July 1st. It's about 7:10 in the morning. This is the old board that is corroded. Took it out. And we already got a new one in. And here's Ian. He's sewing up Bubba's torso, making it look good. We're going to put the hand back on. And he's working. We got Bubba working again. So he's going to sew the torso back up. We put the whiskers back on. And then we're going to run the show. Easter weekend of 2000, when I was 7 years old, I went up there and all the 90s stuff was gone. The decade was over, all the railroad stuff was gone, and they were in suits and a red dress. And the moment I went up there, I wanted to switch them back so badly. I just had to wait 15 to 20 years to do it. But I never thought in a million years I would ever do that they would let me do it. And I am so grateful for that, and happy to share this with everybody, because animatronics are just really, really awesome.
Howdy, folks. Y'all having a good time?
Oh, folks are having a good time.
Gee, this is a wonderland place.
No, Tony. This is a wonderland pier.
And a wonderland place too.
Right on. And folks, here's a song about another place that's a different kind of wonderland.
On the just heaven. West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country roads. All my memories gather round her. Miner's lady, stranger to blue water. And dusty, painted on the sky. Misty taste of moonshine, teardrops in my eyes. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country roads. I hear a voice in the morning as she calls me. Radio reminds me of my home far away. Driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday, country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country roads, just take me home down country roads.
Gee, thanks, Bubba. But every time I sing that song, I sure do get homesick.
There's no place like a home. The river that you roam on.
Don't miss going up on that giant wheel. What a view!
Job will be a sin.
Hey, did y'all know I went to Rome once? Yeah, it's true. Back when I was doing a solo act, I met this real nice looking guy who told me he was going to make me a star. Yeah, and he said he was taking me to Rome. Yeah, I quit my gig and we headed out. Now, folks, did y'all know there's a place called Rome in Georgia?
Hey, what'd you do, Henrietta?
Well, Rocky, I'll tell you just what I told him. Gonna get along without you now. Gonna get along without you now.
Have a great day.
Go ride the log flume. It's the best.
And say howdy to Wonder Bear if you see it.
And don't miss going up on that giant wheel. What a view!
Job will be a sin.
Hey there, everyone! How you doing? Boys and lady, say howdy to the folks.
Howdy to the folks.
I'm Rocky, and I'd sure like for y'all to meet these musical marvels. Bubba Bunga. Henry Howells.
Just call me Hank, folks.
Our Southern Belle, Henrietta Hatfield.
Well, it sure is lovely to see y'all, Bob.
Antonio Vermicelli.
Buongiorno, spaghetti, fettuccine, is he talking about? Y'all have to excuse Tony, folks. The truth is, he was born in Nebraska. It's in the blood, in the mind, in the heart.
But when he sings just plain American.
What can I say?
Together, folks, we are Rocky and the Railroad Ramblers.
And
Here comes Mockingbird Hill.
When the sun in the morning peeps over the hill and kisses the roses from my windowsill, then my heart fills with gladness when I hear the trill of the birds in the treetops of Mockingbird Hill. Oh, Tweety, it gives me a thrill to wake up in the morning to the mockingbird's trill. Oh, Tweety, there's peace and goodwill. You're welcome as the flowers on Mockingbird Hill.
Sure didn't sound like Italian birds.
Hey, when you finish riding all these great rides here, come on back to see us.
Yippee-yay! Welcome to Wonderland. Here, that is. Sure hope everyone's having a great time.
This is going to be a request show.
Hot dog! I request a ride on the log flume.
Not that kind of request, Hank. Song request.
Have on the radio?
Right, Bubba. We've done received so many requests
That we decided to oblige with this special show.
Well, you sure heap of nice guys. You know them.
and our first number is to Big Mama from Tadpole.
Here we go.
Wish that I was on old Rocky Top down in the Tennessee hills. Ain't no smoggy smoke on Rocky Top, ain't no telephone bill. Once I had a girl on Rocky Top, half bear, the other half cat. Wild as a mink, but sweet as soda pop, I still dream about that. Rocky Top, you'll always be home sweet home for me. Good old Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee. I've had years of cramped up city life, trapped like a dog in a pen. All I know is it's a pretty life, can't be simple again. Rocky Top, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee.
No idea how long I've wanted to do that.
Yeah, me too.